meeting is being recorded.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I got another really interesting gentleman to introduce you tonight. Grant Furlane is his name, and he runs something that's all about urban transportation, the theory of urban transportation. He brings over 40 years of technology experience specializing in smart city transportation, network security, cloud computing, etc., to the transportation sector. Grant, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So tell me a little bit about what is the theory of urban transportation simplified?
Yes, and just understand, I was trying to figure a way to explain it because people use smart city like a tagline. It's now the new, the new buzzword of the world, but it really is not simplified, and people don't really understand it. And I've been in this business my whole life, and I thought, how can I best explain it? Being a science background, I was thinking, what would we do it if it was someone else explaining the theory like Einstein or anyone else that we all followed and have challenged their theories? And so I said, I'm going to develop a paper that explained it, quite frankly, how it should be in simple terms. And we can drill down through it over time in other shows and that. But essentially, I looked at being my whole life in this business, I always felt, Brian, that transportation would be the key to our future. Congestion, how do we get places? So my thought was, it's great having smart buildings. It's great having all these great ideas about smart buses and buildings and rent-a-cars and new restaurants and all that. But if you can't get there, it really doesn't matter. It's not smart at all. And then with the launch of the 15-minute community, which now, of course, has been expanded to 20-minute city, I felt I had to explain it in a theory that everyone would understand. And by the way, when this publication was released, everyone said, I get it. Because, Brian, I've been doing this my whole life and no one gets it. So the idea being is, what is a successful transportation model? It's not me driving into a parking facility. It's not me driving on a toll highway. It's not me driving through a curbside pickup. It's everything from where A is your start, B is your model as you go along, and C is success. So if I go from A and through my whole day, I may stop and start all over the place. Everything's connected. And there, when I get to B, which is the building or my destination, and I reach that, then C means I have made a successful urban transportation trip today. And that's what it is. Enriching your daily journey has always been my model.
Okay. But that sounds pretty simple. Like what? So what's the secret here?
The secret is this.
In your paper, you talked about psychodynamic theories. What's that got to do with A traveling through B to achieve C?
Because all these are simply theories, and I follow them all. I challenge theories every single day mathematically. And the reason I bring it up for people to understand is in any theory, it's mathematics and people don't try to apply theory, and they should. But we don't live in a world of theory. We live in a world of theory, but not straight mathematics, which everything is applied to mathematics. Chatbots, it doesn't matter, okay? However, in saying that, what you have to understand is it's not A to B is that simple. It's not. So what I've said is this. When you leave your home, I don't care if you take a taxi. I don't care if you Uber it. And most likely you're going to drive your car. Along the way, you have to be connected in every single way. So the theory is similar to what we call in quantum theory, which is in all my software, it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to leave your home and say, I had a perfect ride, okay? You're going to say, oh, on the way, I just got a call from my partner, my wife, pick up this. Oh, I'm going to go to Canadian Tire. Well, how do I make that process simple? Well, I make my order, I talk to my car, I pull up, it's ready, I drive on to my next day, and along the way, I'm planning the proper transportation mode. And then you're on the highway, and everyone thinks, well, great, parking systems are great, and they are. But it's not about the parking system. It's how do I get you there? And so you're on a highway, and you're sitting there and you're sitting in traffic. I say to you, you know what? Pull off the next curb, get off the highway. Now you can drive this route, or you can park at the transportation hub of Go Transit or another transportation hub, which will be all over the country in the cities. There'll be transportation hubs everywhere. And now you'll have the option to say, look, take the train. It's going to save you an hour. It's going to save you a lot of stress. And then you hop in the train and you go downtown. And when you get there, what do you want? Well, you can have a pickup in a car, rent a scooter, or walk, or whatever you want to do. I'm going to tell you, connect you along that whole journey. Then if you're driving, I'm going to put you into a parking facility. You're going to drive through. Remember, this is all has to be frictionless. And this is what our specialty is. And so I'm going to put you into all these modes that along the way, for example, oh, you want to go to McDonald's? Well, let's not drive up and use our phone and all that. Let's just place our order in the car. When you get there, throw it up on the screen, read the plate, read the car, pick it up and drive away. Your car's a wallet. Hence why you know about our recent integration with Project Arrow, which of course you know about. I know that. And we are going to be the technology in the car, which we will travel around the world and show it. But the idea is, I want you to hop in the car and have no pain. Now, when I say pain, think of it. The number one thing that we have in a car that we all encounter is anxiety. So I took it a step level. I said, okay, let's build into the car anxiety control. Let's put in HAPbeat, which is a medical magnetic app that basically allows you to focus and keep you calm. I won't use the sleep mode, obviously, but everything I've done, I've tried to bring in something I'm involved in to make it a better trip. But nobody does this. We do it in pieces, Brian.
So,
let's connect to these 5 guys. Let's try this.
Okay.
Nothing works accordingly.
Grant, take a step back. What does your company or you do? You make
computing
easier, or like I don't.
It's very difficult. Yeah, that's been our hardest thing is the story. So we have a portal. It's called WorldStream, and it is the portal that connects everything. Transportation, connect with restaurants for validations, valet parking, toll highways. It is just a master portal, Brian, that I developed over the years that is basically made to run anything you could connect to it. Along the way, I had to develop edge hardware. Why? Because no one makes it, that it's cloud intrusive and cloud extension. So I made the payment kiosks. I made the license plate recognition system. I made all that, even though the goal one day is to be a data-driven connected portal, which of course where we're going, where cities will just basically log in. You will take a picture of plate and you're logged in. Everything, all your information is done. You don't have to go and fill out forms and all that and just say, what do you want to do? I want to do tolling. Okay, you're in. What do you want to do? I want to park. You're in. None of this, all this fancy stuff of all these connections and forms. And so, but along the way, I have developed all the enterprise hardware, realizing I have to be agnostic now. Like I don't expect to walk into the city of Toronto and say, replace all your hardware. And they're going to go, yeah, right, Grant. But as you know, if you read about us, we just did the Pan Am Center, which is city owned, and put in the most extensive system there is, taking into account for carpooling systems, tailgating, all kinds of things. And then, of course, the most recent one, Brian, is I've always wanted to do a whole city because no one's done it. So we were just awarded the city of Kitchener. Why did I want Kitchener? Well, one, it was it's the hotbed. Kitchener-Waterloo region is the Silicon Valley of Canada, and only second to the Silicon Valley for advancement. And so what we're doing there, Brian, is we're managing and putting in the hardware and the software to do everything from curbside management to parking in all the facilities to merchants with dashboards interfacing with users so they can come and park. For example, you'll like this. You go and you're going downtown. You've made your journey. You've parked. Now I say to you, it's 11:45. My AI will say, he's probably going to eat. In fact, Brian eats every day. So Brian, while you're here, these 6 restaurants want to pay for your parking. And if you allow them to pay, just come by and eat here. And I'm doing that with rental car agencies. I'm connecting everybody. You probably know that, and if you don't know that, we are the dominant leader in new developments in Toronto. So pretty well every new development that you've heard of, I'm talking from Dream, Brightwater to Tridal to Mel, everyone. We are the back end app to go in and out of the garages and security wise and to park and so on. So I now have about 500,000 users that I didn't pay a dime for. Okay. But what am I doing with those users?
So sorry. So what are you doing for a Tridel building? What is it that you're doing for them?
Well, I'll give you an example. So they wanted to get away from fobs. As you know, fobs we all know them, but they can be copied, lent, and they're a pain to carry around. You can't move people from building to building because they're different fobs for different buildings and different systems. So they came to me one day and said, Grant, they poured their fobs on the table. Get rid of these fobs. I said, can you do it? Well, okay. At the time, Brian, I said yes, not knowing I could do it. And then went, as I always do, and went back to my team and said, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take the AI and I want to not just read the plate, because plate is 92%. I want to, computer vision is going to tie to the DNA of the car. So I can get 100% read. Snowing, who cares? So we attempted it and it worked. And we went into a building where they already had a system. It was a nightmare. It was near the hockey rink and people were lending spaces. People were stealing cars. People were doing all kinds of things. I put in the system that stopped most of it. You can't stop it all, obviously. So what happens there is, there's a great video on it, live video. You drive up, I read your plate. It says, welcome, Mr. Crombie, back to your place, drive in. Or it'll say, you're not allowed in here. And we have, by the way, we have a voice as well that says that. Then what happens is, if you're allowed in, you must continue through the visitor area to the tenant area. If you don't, we send you another message. You can't park here. Please leave. If not, we send, you're gonna love this, to be ticketed. And guess whose ticketing software it is? Mine. All along the chain.
You send that message where? Through my phone or what?
Your phone and to security. And then what happens is, let's say you invite a guest, because that's the big problem. Limited space for you see it everywhere for guest parking. So what happens there is, I invite a guest. I have an algorithm that allows tenants to allow so many per month, because there else one guy hogs it all. They're in an algorithm that says guest floor 10, room 1, suite 104 can still invite. And then you put in the time and period. When you arrive, you don't do anything. I read you, I let you in. Then you must go to the guest area, which is the first area. If you try anywhere else, you won't get in because there's gates, gated. But if not, it doesn't have to be gated. I can just alarm you. You're there. If you don't leave in time, I send you a message and tell you, because I want to give you the opportunity that you must leave. You might not be able to add time. In the commercial ones, we can add time, but I might have to get you out of there because other people have booked your spaces. And it's all about congestion and getting people in and out properly. So, and we do the same on the highways.
So it sounds to me, and I'm trying to simplify here, is that, when I log into a Google map and say I'm going to go with a car from my house to my work, what you're doing is you're that times 10, because what you're doing is you're saying you can do a certain amount on the highway, you can do a certain amount on the train, you can do a certain amount walking, and while you're there, you should stop at these things to the dry cleaning and the restaurant.
Thank you very much. You're dead on. Now, what is the problem? People don't get it. It's been my whole life, by the way. When I introduced credit card automation to read your credit card when I was 20 years old, people said I was crazy. No one's going to plug their card into a credit card reader, which I developed. Okay. And then this company called Interact started. And when I said I was going to have a machine that you could enter plates in, people said, no one's going to do that. Now it's a standard. But then I thought, that's so cumbersome. Why not just read the stupid thing and not even have meters, even though I make them? So we're rolling out in 3 betas next quarter, cities that will have no meters. Okay, exactly what you said. You'll drive into a zone and say it's $3 an hour. I don't care if you park in the middle of the road. It's the same as you would if you did something wrong on a meter. We don't know that. You're in the middle of the road, you're going to get ticketed. So we've simplified everything to the point of no more of all this stopping and starting. And then maybe when I'm there, I'm going to say, it's congested today. You can't park here. There's going to be a large, bigger rate. We call that, more enhanced pricing comes from the travel world. But the point being is, all these things are what you said. I'm going to move you along based on city regulations. And at the same time, we want to partner with private. Okay. It's unheard of. Okay.
So let me ask you a question.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I travel in business a lot. And,
Sure you do.
And I always travel with Air Canada unless it's not available, and then it's WestJet. I always use Enterprise unless it's not available, and then I use Budget. And I always stay in an IHG hotel, and unless it's not available, I go to a Marriott. And I stop most mornings for a coffee. And what upsets me is that I spend too much time arranging all this stuff and stopping at every different place to fill out forms over and over and over again. And even on Air Canada, I have to put in my birthday every single time in my passport. It doesn't store the information such that it makes what could be a 10-second login, 5 minutes, and then it locks me out. So why can't I just say, I'm going to Vancouver today?
You can.
All of that is taken care of.
Done now. See, that's what I'm trying to say is, and I have to tell you something. It was very difficult. People go, what do you think of getting someone like Anatomy, which is a great company, a Dream, which is an incredible new developer in Canada, and even in the States, some companies like a JLL. And I say to them, they're just little pieces to me, guys. Yeah, it's great. I'm getting, like we did 300 new facilities last year. I said, that's great. But in the end, guys, that's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to create this portal so Brian can say, I'm going to Vancouver. Oh, Brian, we already know all your favorite things. Don't call anyone. We go out, we book it all, we give you your confirmation, off you go. Now here's the best part. If something goes wrong, we redirect you. That is what AI was supposed to do. And Brian, I should, yeah.
I sat for 3 hours on the tarmac with a snowstorm. We're going to take a break and be back in 2 minutes with Grant Furlane talking about transportation in the future. Actually, it's today, but it sounds kind of pretty futuristic. Stay with us, everybody.
This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. My guest today is Grant Furlane. He runs a company that's all about simplified transportation. Grant, what you described sounds fantastic, but a lot of people are worried about privacy, that some big brother is going to be monitoring absolutely everything that we're doing. How do you deal with that?
It's the biggest issue. So first of all, we have a policy in the company so that we do not hand off anything to big brother. So I basically changed the data into a recognized algorithm that eliminates the personal background of the people unless they want to register. Now, if the police say, Grant, I want to use your LPR system, we give it to them. If they choose to go and look at people, they do that now. But I won't give it. I don't give it. Now, the second part is, that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is when you send data over networks everywhere, we read it every day. Cybersecurity. We developed an algorithm called World Secure that breaks data up in 50, 60 pieces before it's sent and then put back together when it's retrieved. And that's patented, by the way. And why do we do that? Because we know how important it is for people to be secure. And by the way, I'm like no one else, Brian. I don't want anyone telling me, sharing my data. And we all are. I tell people, by the way, they already know all about you, but it's not because of me. I'll protect you. Now, second part of this is, my co-founder, you may as well know it, Barney Bell, him and Peter Thiel started a company called PowerSet that was sold to Microsoft and called Bing. And so my co-founder was one of the original AI inventors.
Right.
He does stuff with US government. I don't care about that stuff. So anything we do in the high security world, we implement into Locomobi world. So all that stuff that's not, no one even cares about our world. They care about government, military. I put into the software so that everyone's protected. And so, yes, they should worry and they should be very careful with their data.
So, all this concern, and I think a lot of it was sort of in Toronto, more prevalent with this concern about, what was it called down in the waterfront that Google was launching? Cyber.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so you're talking about, yeah. So that whole Google thing, when it came out, and I know all the guys, at Google. And when they came out with that, and the head of Google that was running that, Michael out of New York, it's not going to work, guys. You forgot one thing: the people. You can't walk into a community and say, this is the way it's going to be. You didn't care. You came in, and you're talking about Sidewalk Labs.
Yeah.
And I said, well, by the way, I have Sidewalk Labs, like a model of it already running. I run the Bayshore community of 7 buildings, all networked. But I did it privately. Why? Because I'm finding, now it's changed, Brian. Developers are easy. They have vision. But I'm going to tell you, cities are getting vision. I'm blown away. I'm really pleased that there's things we're going to announce very soon that are going to blow everybody away with robots and so on. But back to Sidewalk, it was a failure because it stopped. Now, as you know, they just went out again to RFP. But I think what they're going to do this time is they're not going to award it to one company. They're going to say, okay, 5 developers will do this area, because they won't go through what they went. But what they failed at Sidewalk, it was they didn't take into account what the people wanted. They disregarded the Toronto people. Canadians are very conservative in a lot of ways, and we care about that stuff. You can't push it down our throat, okay? We care, and we really show our emotion, and Sidewalk failed and pulled out because of that reason.
So you think that the future of cities, the future of transportation, is something comparable to sidewalks, but
Yes.
it's going to be positioned in a more people-friendly manner?
It has to be. It's all about people, and if you forget that, you forgot everything. Hence why we have the people apps, the ability to make people feel better as well without any chemicals, and all part of the whole atmosphere has to be. And that's where I want to see the company one day.
If people want to follow you, check out your company, maybe hire you to understand their parking and the entrance to their pedestrian, to their residents and guests and stuff like that, how do they do that? Do you have a website they should go to?
Yeah. Locomobiworld.com. Locomobi, Locomobi, world.com. Or they can just search my name, Grant Furlane. There's probably 1,000 articles on Google. I've written probably 50 or 60 papers, Brian. We won the TI 50 award for the best technology in the world in Silicon Valley. So there's lots of news, but I'm a true Canadian, Brian, by the way. I'm the only guy that bought a Silicon Valley-based company and moved it to Toronto. They go the other way. We have the best people in the world, and people laugh at me all the time because I push it hard. But they can follow me, and I'm pro-Canadian, and I really want to see us do well as a country.
Well, I appreciate you joining us and telling us a little bit about smart transportation that's simplified and how you're going to change cities. Thanks so much, Grant.
Thank you for having me.
That's our show for tonight. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I remind you, I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. on what Grant probably doesn't even know exists anymore, AM radio. But we also are on podcasts and videocasts that you can get on my website, briancrombie.com, as well as on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere good podcasts are podcasted. Thanks for joining us. Good night, everybody.